Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. Alright, I wanted to do a brief video showcasing the Fallout Atomic Bonds Cooperative Upgrade Pack that recently came out from Fantasy Flight Games. And what this does is it updates the game of Fallout to be a completely cooperative game. And I liked the Fallout game already a lot more than many people. I thought it was a pretty good game, even though it had some flaws. But with this expansion, I think that Fallout is now a great game. I am loving this. I've only played once. I'm just playing it right now. So these are just kind of preliminary thoughts. Don't think of this as a super exhaustive review of the expansion. But as of right now, I really believe that Fallout is a great game. And this is the way that this game should have been released in the beginning. And I'm not sure why it was. I think we would have been seeing a very different story about this game had it been released in this state. It probably would have been way more popular, and we probably could have gotten more just content expansions. Fantasy Flight has a tendency of doing this. I mean, Roombound 3rd edition, I thought they made really great with the co-op expansion, the Unchained Bonds. I can't remember what it was called, but not Bonds. That was that's what this is. Whatever the expansion for 3rd edition Roombound is, that makes it into a cooperative game. It's a much better game played like that. Descent 2.0, I think, is a better game with the Road to Legends app. So Fantasy Flight really has a tendency, I think, of making expansions that really make their games better. And sometimes I think they should have made the original game like that. I don't know. It's almost like they put a game out and then they fix it later. I don't want to say that because I don't think those other games were broken. Fallout was kind of broken, and I think they fixed it. But yeah, that's beside the point. That's just a little background on Fantasy Flight games there. So Atomic Bonds, it's a very small box of cards, and you get this pamphlet here that just kind of details the different cards. And so we're just going to go through. I'm just going to show you real quick the different cards and kind of what I think makes this game really cool now. So the first big difference is in setup. Well, actually, back up. It's not a huge difference in setup, but there is some changes to it. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick your expansion or your the scenario that you want to play. And you can play either the expanded version from the New California expansion, or you can play the original from the box. Right now I have set up the expanded version of the Far Harbor scenario, and I am playing with 2 survivors. I have a feeling that I'm probably going to remove the New California tiles and just play with the original setup, because I think a smaller map works better with 2 survivors, and that's how I like to play the most. So my next game is going to be on a smaller, non-expanded map. But anyways, you're going to pick your scenario. You're going to set it up just like normal, following all the instructions. And then you're going to basically put these away. And you're going to take out the expansion scenario sheets from the Atomic Bonds. And you're going to pick one of the 2 factions. So in this instance, either Far Harbor or the Children of the Atom. And you're going to pick one of those factions to be loyal to. And so in this instance, I was being loyal to the Children of the Atom, and they are represented by the shield icon. So then you take your token that represents the opposing faction, which in this case it is the Far Harbor, and you put their symbol on the track. And this is going to be moving down kind of like in the other game. If this ever gets to the end, you lose the game if you haven't accomplished your goals. And then this is going to tell you your victory conditions as being loyal to the children of the atom. You're going to have to accomplish one goal, which we will go over that in a bit, and complete the last defense, one of the major story quests for Children of the Atom. And you're going to have to do that in a certain amount of time. And the way that time works in this game is you're going to put away your agenda deck. The agenda deck is not used in this expansion. Instead, you have now these activation cards. And when at the end of the survivor's turn, like the whole group of survivors, however many you're playing, once they've all taken their actions, you draw one of these activation cards. And this tells you in order the enemies that are going to activate, and some of the cards have a faction symbol on there. If you draw the faction symbol for your opposing faction, or if you draw the faction symbol for the faction that you're loyal to, you just ignore it. If you draw the faction symbol for the opposing faction, you move their token one space down the track. Now on these activation cards, there are 8, and there are 2 for each faction. So as you go through this deck, each time through the deck, the opposing faction is going to move down twice. So there is a pretty strict time limit, and that's kind of a bummer, but I kind of get it. It's the best way I think they could have made this game work with what they already had. And so you're really just going to be going through this deck probably about 3 times in a game. And so that's going to be about 18 turns, I believe, for the game, because I'm not sure if there's ways to bounce this back up. I don't know that yet. Additionally, at certain points when you move this, you're going to be looking for the opposing faction for their tokens out on the board, because these tokens will be representing certain things, just like in the original game. In this instance, the star tokens on the board represent fog condensers. And so this is kind of like your threat management aspect of the game. At certain points, these will be appearing on the map, and if you have to activate that faction, you have to count those, and if there's a certain amount, then this token might move more than 1 space down. So you want to be very careful to keep the tokens down, just kind of you would in any threat management pandemic style game. So that's one thing that you're going to have to be dealing with on a turn-by-turn basis. To win the game, one of the things you have to do is you have to complete a goal. And this is a new deck of cards that the expansion comes with. And these are going to, whoops, sorry, those are the wrong ones. Where's, they're there, sorry, wrong deck. Goals, okay. So the goals, these are going to give you objectives, basically. And they are different. You will have, so a survivor has to get all of their upgrades, all of their special tokens. You have to have 3 workshop upgrades. We'll deal with that in a minute. Kill 3 level 3 enemies. So I think there's 2 of each. Any camp token, discard non-starting apparel. So we'll go over camp tokens in a bit. Any camp token, discard 2 non-starting weapons. Have 3 workshop upgrades. And then the ones I have for my scenario I'm playing right now is I just solved this one, which was a duplicate of this one. At any camp, discard 15 caps, have 3 workshop upgrades, and complete 1 vault. Okay, so you're going to deal out 4 of these at the beginning of a scenario, and you have to, 1 goal per survivor is complete. So I have to complete 2 of these and a main story quest number 42 to win the game in that certain amount of time. So this is really cool. This adds some direction. This adds something beyond just the tracker to work towards to completing the game. And this right here automatically changes this into a big open world survival game, and I love that. I love having these goals that are well-defined, things you can be working towards to win the game, and you have a choice. You can go out. So already this game has added the goals as a choice, and because of its co-op nature, it's added having to take care of the threat management as a choice. Additionally, you also, of course, have your quests that are going to be pulled from the giant deck of story cards, the library there. So you're going to have these as choices. So, I mean, you have a ton of awesome choices of cool things that you can be doing on every turn. And at first, it's kind of overwhelming. On my first 2 turns, I was like, holy crap, what am I supposed to be doing? It kind of made me feel like Explore It, where you're just kind of like, you see the map and you know what you need to do, but once you get going and you kind of start moving into a direction of the goals. But one of the other new decks that this adds are the workshop upgrades. So anytime a quest or anytime you would get a reward that used to give you an agenda card, you now get to draw one of these workshop upgrade cards. These can help you just in playing the game by giving you bonuses and all that kind of stuff. Or, like I said, these also go towards one of the goals to win the game. So one of my goals is to have 3 workshop upgrades. So that would mean I would have to complete at least probably 3, semi-major quests in the game in order to get these upgrades. And there are all kinds that add all manner of different things to the game, helping you out, giving you bonuses, making your just making the game a little easier. All right. You also get a deck of, and what are these called? These are called Modification Cards. And these cards you can get at certain points, and they are used to modify existing equipment. So you can upgrade your gear with this deck of cards, which is really cool. Another thing you get is at the beginning of the game, when you are picking your characters, you secretly deal out one of these mutation cards to each survivor. And whenever a survivor gets 5 points of radiation damage, well, you flip over their mutation and you now apply the positive and negative effect. So in this case, the positive effect is each time you perform an action, recover 1 HP, but you cannot use 8 items. So super cool. Every single one of these adds different positives and different negative mutations to your character as you become more irradiated. Just awesome. Like, why wasn't this in the base game? This is so cool. And I believe that is all of the major decks of cards that are added. So it's not a big expansion. It also adds, I forgot, this is an assist die. So whenever 2 characters share the spot, the person whose turn it's not, they can say, well, I'm going to assist you in your action, and then you get to roll a 4th D6 here and then apply the effects. But if you don't win the challenge or whatever the combat, bad things can happen to the person who has assisted you. So what it doesn't add is it doesn't add any story cards. It doesn't add any cards to the library. And you know what? That is perfectly fine, because this stack of library cards is still just so massive. I still feel like I have not even seen a quarter of these cards. Some of them I have like no idea how I'm even supposed to get them out onto the board. So there is still, I think, a lot of replayability, especially if you don't play the game all the time. But I am definitely going to be playing this game for now, because I really think that Atomic Bonds elevates this game to not just a flawed game that I like, but a game that is actually great. And I really hope that people buy this, and I hope that FFG sees that this is something that people want, because it I would love to see this game get like more, even like some more content expansion. Maybe not even more tiles. I feel like the map is already Oh, camp tiles. That's right. One of the most important things. Throughout the game, you are going to, as you complete quests and as your faction does better, you are going to be rewarded these camp tokens. Now, the crossroads space at the beginning of the scenario, you always start with a camp in the crossroads space. And when you are rewarded one of these camp tokens, you kind of just put it off to the side. And then when one of your survivors takes the camp action, well, they can decide to place this camp token out on the space where they camped. And at that point, it becomes a fast travel spot. So this is so cool because, again, it gives you another little thing to do because you want to strategically be placing your camp tokens around the board while you're exploring, especially if you're only playing with a couple survivors, because that way, it makes the map smaller because you can now fast travel as a travel action. It doesn't take your whole turn or anything. You're not giving up a whole turn to fast travel. You can take the travel action, travel from campsite to campsite, and thus shrinking the area of the map that you have to walk through. Super, super cool because, fast travel is a pretty big part of the modern Fallout games, and it's an ease of life. It makes the game less tedious, and it does the exact same thing here while also giving you just one more thing to be thinking about while you're playing the game. So I have nothing but great things to say about Atomic Bonds so far. Maybe as I play it more, maybe I'll find some cracks in the armor. I'm not sure, but as of right now, I am super stoked about Fallout Atomic Bonds. The Cooperative upgrade pack, I highly recommend it. If you were on the fence about this game, this could push you over the edge if you haven't sold it or not. If you already thought this was a pretty good game but wanted a better end-game goals and wanted the game to feel more like an open world survival game, well then this is a no-brainer expansion. It's cheap. It makes a pretty good flawed game super great, and it doesn't add a ton of rules that you have to learn. It's a fantastic expansion. One of my biggest surprises of 2020 for sure. So, all right, guys, we'll take it easy and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.